But tonight, Carter County 911 says it's getting too many calls for the wrong reasons. They say they're receiving a high volume of animal-related non-emergencies, calls they say should go to animal control.
Well, tonight, 911 reached an agreement with the Carter County Elizabethton Animal Shelter, which runs animal control, to try to lower that call volume. As John Janko found out, that could involve some criminal penalties. He joins us now in the studio with more. John?
Josh, Sarah, Carter County 911 officials say these non-emergency calls involve things like stray animals and neighbor disputes, and they bog down first responders. It's a misdemeanor to call 911 in a non-emergency situation. Tonight, 911 and animal shelter officials agreed enforcing that law may be the best way to reduce those calls.
If we, keep getting 911 overloaded with non-emergency calls, then I'm sure that it's going to come to a point to where the citations will be warranted.
Carter County 911 and the Elizabethton Carter County Animal Shelter cracking down on abuse of the 911 system. The county 911 director says too many people are calling 911 for situations typically handled by animal control.
For the month of May, we had 68 of those calls, 68 animal calls. Large majority of those are non-emergency calls.
The shelter runs animal control, but they only have one officer for the entire county. Posada says it can take a while for the officer to get to calls, and people get impatient.
People are calling just because it's convenient to call 911 in hopes of getting a quicker response rather than going through the shelter and waiting until he gets off of another call.
When people call 911 in animal non-emergencies, Posada says sometimes they mislead operators to make the situation seem worse. Blevins says that takes first responders away from doing their job.
They're having to spend time and the county's money trying to check out a non-emergency call that really doesn't require law enforcement.
In the next month, they'll start a public information campaign to let people know what constitutes an animal emergency. They say citizens should only call 911 in situations involving animal abuse or neglect, aggressive animals, or injured and at-risk animals.
A stray you've got contained or animal you're needing to turn into the shelter, those need to be taken care of during business hours of the shelter.
They'll ask citizens to be more careful with their calls before incurring criminal penalties. A single offense of making a 911 call in a non-emergency situation is a Class C misdemeanor. Multiple calls a Class A misdemeanor.
I think if people will adhere to what we're asking is, to call the shelter for your routine needs, then I don't think there will be a need for citations and prosecuting on through court.
Posada says they'll reassess with Carter County 911 after a couple months, but she's hopeful they can reduce that call volume.